Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes interesting sources, digs in deep, and pulls out those key insights for you. You know, the kind that make you go, aha. Today, we're diving into Naval Ravikant's 11 Rules for Life. Really powerful stuff here. Our mission basically is to unpack these principles straight from the source, give you that shortcut to understanding the core ideas, and figure out how you can actually use them. Okay, let's unpack this. So, kicking things off with Rule 1. Be willing to start over. Sounds simple, right? But it's incredibly hard in practice. Naval uses this great analogy like climbing a mountain. Imagine you're, say, two-thirds up. You're exhausted, you've put in all this effort, and then you realize maybe this isn't the right path. The actual peak is way over there, the idea of going all the way back down. Ugh, it feels agonizing. You just really don't want to do it.
Yeah, and it gets tougher psychologically as you get older. There's this feeling, like time is running out. So abandoning something you've sunk years into, a career, a project, it feels incredibly daunting. But the insight here is that sometimes that painful reset is the only way forward. It's not just about sunk costs in money or time. It's sunk costs in identity.
Right, and you see this with really dynamic people. Like, think about Elon Musk. People call him an idiot all the time, but he just starts these completely new things. Things people say he's not even qualified for, or musicians like Madonna or Paul Simon, U2. They'll drop an album, completely different sound. And their old fans, sometimes they absolutely hate it, sometimes it misses, but that willingness to reinvent, that's key.
Exactly. It really boils down to being willing to, well, be a fool again, to have that beginner's mind. Not just talking about it, but actually doing it. Go back to square one, even if it's embarrassing. Because you're not willing to do that, to cut loose what's not working. You're not really growing. You're just, getting older.
Okay, that leads perfectly into rule number 2. Inspiration is perishable. Act on it immediately. This idea, Naval actually credits Nibby with it, is so powerful. Inspiration, it fades fast. He talks about his own experience, like writing tweet storms or blog posts. He'd get this flash of insight, this energy. But if he waited, if he paused, poof, the energy's gone. The post never gets written. That specific moment, that state of mind, it just evaporates.
Oh, absolutely. We've all felt that, haven't we? How many great ideas just drift away because we thought, oh, I'll do it later. That lesson is crystal clear. When it hits you, you act. Right then.
Yeah.
Don't schedule inspiration. Seize it.
So act now on inspiration. But what about the long game? That brings us to rule 3, and it's a tricky one. Impatience with actions, patience with results. We usually get this backward, right? We delay doing things, but then we want results yesterday. Naval puts it in this glib tweet, as he calls it. Impatience with actions and patience with the results.
Okay, let's break that down. Impatience with actions. What does that mean? It means, why wait? Life's short. Don't waste time on things that aren't moving you forward, waiting in lines, pointless travel. And when you do need to act, like answering that email or tackling a task, do it quickly. Well, with full attention. No procrastination on the doing. But then, the results. You have to be patient. You're dealing with complex systems, people, markets, product development. These things take time. Markets need time to adopt things. Teams need time to gel. Great stuff comes from patient, continuous polishing. You can't force it.
Okay, so act fast, be patient for outcomes. And building on that, rule 4 is super empowering. No one can beat you at being you. The core idea is you're uniquely qualified. Simple as that. You'll never be as good at being someone else as they are, and they'll never be as good at being you.
Right. And the warning in that is listen, learn, absorb from others, sure. But emulate. That's a fool's errand, as Naval says. Because every single person with their unique DNA, their unique life experiences, that combination creates something specific. Specific knowledge, capability, desire. Nobody else has that exact mix. Ignoring that, that's wasting your biggest advantage.
So the goal isn't to copy someone else's success blueprint. You'll never be great at being them. Instead, you need to find the people, the project, the business, the art that needs you, specifically you. There's something out there, some niche where your unique combination is exactly what's required. And that leads perfectly into rule 5, which helps you find that something. Do what feels like play to you, but looks like work to others.
Naval really emphasizes that every word there is chosen carefully. It's so important. Let's unpack it. Feels like. That's your internal experience.
Yeah.
How does it feel to you? Play, it's fun, engaging, you do it anyway. Then looks like, that's the external perception, how others see it. And work, meaning society values it. It's useful, maybe monetizable. All 4 need to be there. Internal feeling, fun, external view, and value.
Yeah. And when you find that, Your hobby, the thing you love doing, to everyone else, it looks like hard work, like a real job. And that's how you win, because you're not working. You're just playing 16 hours a day, totally absorbed. They're grinding. They feel like they're working. They can't keep up that intensity if it feels like a chore. They'll burn out. You won't.
Right. It reminds me of that Steve Jobs line, don't be a career. The whole concept of a career can actually get in the way of your real passions, your intuition. It artificially separates work from life. But if you're really passionate, they shouldn't be separate. Work and life should merge. That's a much healthier, more integrated way to live.
Okay, now for a shift. Rule number 6 seems almost countercultural today. Limit your desires. Naval uses this stark contrast. A happy person wants 10,000 things. A sick person just wants one thing. Really makes you pause and think.
It's deep wisdom, really. Echoes a lot of ancient philosophy. The idea is that our endless desires, they're the source of our unhappiness. That phrase, desire is suffering, it means every single thing you want creates an opening for disappointment, for anxiety. More desires, more potential suffering.
So what's the fix? Naval suggests focusing on just one desire at a time. He says, maybe controversially, that the universe is kind of rigged. If you truly, genuinely want only one thing and put all your energy there, you'll get it. But the key, the really hard part, is you have to let go of everything else. It demands intense focus and detachment. Okay, rule 7. A classic, but with a twist. Fall in love with reading. Now, you might think Naval reads like 8 hours a day, but he says it's maybe 1 or 2 hours. But that consistency puts him in the absolute top tier of readers worldwide, and he credits a lot of his success and smarts to just that habit.
Yeah, and the interesting point is, it's less about what you read initially or even how much per day. The absolute most important thing is making it a daily habit, like exercise. Non-negotiable. Just engage with reading every day. The quality often sorts itself out over time.
He talks about his own path, starting with mental junk food like comics, then mysteries, sci-fi, gradually moving up to science, math, philosophy. His tastes just evolved naturally because he was curious. His advice, read what you're genuinely excited to read because that excitement fuels the habit.
Exactly. And why is it so critical? Think about Charlie Munger. Reads constantly. Hundreds of nonfiction books a year. He famously said he knew no wise people who didn't read all the time. None. Zero. Buffett's the same. It really boils down to this divide. People who like to read and people who don't. The long-term difference is apparently huge.
Okay, rule 8 hits close to home for anyone who went through traditional schooling. Understand the basics, deeply don't memorize. He calls memorization maybe the biggest mistake. It's not about knowing fancy advanced stuff. It's about truly getting the fundamentals.
And the example he gives is so clear. Knowing arithmetic really, really well, that's way more useful day-to-day in business and life than memorizing some calculus formulas you don't truly understand. Think about basic probability, valuing things, just practical math. That comes from a deep grasp of the basics, not rote learning.
He uses this analogy of building a steel frame of understanding, solid foundations built up logically, versus just like a flimsy scaffolding of memorized facts that collapses under pressure.
Right. And memorization is often a sign you don't understand. If you really get it, you can rebuild it from first principles. He points to Richard Feynman, who could supposedly explain calculus from basic counting in just a few pages. That's true mastery, rederiving it on the spot. And that principle, Naval says, applies to everything important.
Okay, shifting to wealth creation now. Rule 9 is a big one. Don't get rich renting out your time. The basic problem, your input, your time is directly tied to your output, your earnings. If you're not working, you're not earning. No vacation pay, no retirement income from that specific activity. It's linear.
And why isn't that real wealth? Because you're usually working for someone else. They own the brand, the IP, they take the risk. They pay you just enough to keep you, even if it's a high salary. You're often doing tasks that are fundamentally teachable and replaceable by people or now by AI. It doesn't scale beyond your own hours.
So the answer. Naval is clear. You have to own a piece of a business, equity. Be an owner, an investor, a shareholder. Or build your own brand, something that accumulates value to you. He uses doctors as an example. The ones who get truly wealthy often don't just see patients. They build private practices, create medical devices, develop IP. They own something beyond their time, which leads us straight into Rule 10, which feels incredibly relevant right now. Leverage, especially permissionless leverage. This, Naval says, is the new kind of leverage. It's behind all the modern fortunes, unlike, say, Warren Buffett's generation, which was more about capital leverage.
And this new leverage is basically code or media. Think about it. Joe Rogan's podcast, PewDiePie on YouTube, Fortnite creators, or the tech giants. Bezos, Zuckerberg, Page, Brin, Gates. jobs. Their leverage came from code and media platforms that scale massively.
But the really revolutionary part, it's permissionless. That's the key word. Unlike labor needing someone to hire you or follow you, or capital needing someone to invest in you or lend to you, with code or media, you don't need anyone's permission to start. To write code, record a podcast, tweet, make videos, you just do it.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so egalitarian, so powerful. It's a great equalizer. It lets individuals create enormous value and reach without needing approval from old gatekeepers or huge amounts of capital up front. It puts the power in your hands.
Okay, finally, rule 11. This one feels deep and maybe the hardest. Have empty space and step out of the game entirely. He literally advises having empty blocks in your calendar, like at least 1, maybe 2 days a week with nothing scheduled. Blank space.
Why? Because without that space, you don't have time to think. Really think. Good ideas, good judgment, creativity. They don't happen when you're stressed, rushed, constantly reacting. They happen when you're bored, when your mind has space to wander. You actually have to create that space. It doesn't just appear.
And then there's the ultimate goal he mentions. The real winners are the ones who step out of the game entirely. Who are these people? They're the ones with such strong internal control, such self-awareness. They don't need anything external. Their validation, their happiness, it comes from within.
He gives examples like a friend of his, or historically, figures like Buddha or Krishnamurti, people who achieved a state where winning or losing the external game just didn't matter anymore. It brings to mind that quote, "All of man's troubles arise because he cannot sit in a room quietly by himself for half an hour." What is that? Being able to just sit quietly, content for 30 minutes, that's presented as a profound marker of inner success, of true mastery.
Wow. Okay, that was quite the journey through Naval Ravikant's 11 rules. We covered so much ground, from having the guts to start over, to acting on inspiration instantly, finding your unique play, limiting desire, the power of reading, all the way to permissionless leverage and stepping out of the game. It really challenges how you think about life and success.
It really does. And connecting these dots, synthesizing these ideas, that's where the value is, right? It's not just collecting rules, it's building a coherent framework for thinking critically about how you live, how you work, how you find happiness. It's about genuine understanding leading to real change.
Absolutely. So for you listening, as you think back over these 11 rules, what really stands out? Which one feels like the biggest challenge for you right now? And maybe, just maybe, which one could you start applying, even in a tiny way, this week? Lots to think about. Keep digging, keep learning. Thanks for joining us on The Dip Dive.